It's been a long time since I posted a video. I wanted to come through and I wanted to talk about American Horror Story, The Apocalypse. This is the 8th season of American Horror Story. And if I'm not mistaken, the number 8 is about manifestation. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that. Drinking me a cup of coffee and it's so good. But let's talk about American Horror Story, The Apocalypse. The Apocalypse is supposed to be an event, an anticlimactic event that ushers in the end of time, as people say it in Christianity, But what is the apocalypse really, and what does it symbolize? I'm going to tell you what it symbolizes for us as Black people. The apocalypse, or what leads to what people think is an apocalypse, it's a symbolic reference to explain what is going on inside of us as Black people. Think of it this way. Magic is inside out. So whatever's going on inside of us, it's going to manifest in the physical. The apocalypse is not so much about a single event. It's not about a single event that's going to end the world physically. The character of the Antichrist, who's played in American Horror Story by Cody Fern, he plays Michael Langdon, the little boy from Murder House, who was seen after he slit his babysitter's throat. But I'll get back into, we don't have to talk about the plot line. Well, we can a little bit, but the point that I'm making is this. The Antichrist comes, according to Christian mythology, he comes to destroy the world and kill the saints. But in actuality, symbolically, and what we understand in the occult, at least I hope we do as Black occultists, is that the Antichrist comes to destroy humanity. Okay? So the apocalypse represents the soul waking up inside of the Black man and the Black woman. So in the process of all of this happening, you will have, events that will manifest in the physical, because what's happening is that this matrix that we're living in is shutting down. So that is what the end of days are. The end of days, let me just get into the end of days. Forget the apocalypse right now. The end of days is the destruction of humanity and the ego, which keeps you trapped in this matrix. The Antichrist is really not a bad figure. The Antichrist comes to destroy humanity and the ego. That is why he has the, and when they're talking about 666, they're talking about our melanin. They're talking about our melanin. That's all 666 means. Some people say it doesn't mean melanin. I'm going to go with it and say they're talking about our melanin. When they talk about the mark of the beast, the electrons, the neutrons, and the protons that make up our melanin. Okay? And when you tap into that, or you acknowledge that, you unleash unstoppable power in you. This is why that number is considered to be the devil, because symbolically they're reinforcing hatred against Black people. And a lot of us have fallen for it. They have made us fear who we are. So that's one aspect of what's going on in American Horror Story. There are so many different symbolic meanings that are taking place in American Horror Story, The Apocalypse, right now. Okay? The other thing that's going on, that I see symbolically taking place, is the constant battle between the divine feminine and the divine masculine energy. Now, for those people who are watching, Cordelia was the supreme from season 3, because season 8, although it's called the Apocalypse, it's a combination, or rather, it's a cross season between season 1, the Murder House, and season 3, the Coven. Okay? Cordelia is the supreme. The supreme is the most powerful witch to walk the planet. No man has ever been the supreme. But in the Apocalypse, we're finding out that Michael Langdon, who is supposed to be the Antichrist, that he actually went to this school for gifted boys, and coincidentally, this school is the same fallout shelter that they have been living in after the nuclear bombs fell on Los Angeles. I didn't want to get into the whole plot line, but people who watch the show know what I'm talking about. A nuclear bomb hit Los Angeles, an American Horror Story, and it ushered in a nuclear holocaust, whatever you want to call it. And the remaining survivors, they ended up in like a fallout shelter. And they were divided among, how were they divided? They were divided into purples and grays. The grays were the workers and the servants. The people who were in purple, who wore purple clothes, were more elite people. We'll get into that a little bit later. I don't want to really get into that. So anyway, so Michael Langdon, he is part of this prestigious boys' school for special boys, and it is, similar to the school for the witches, but it's a school for warlocks. Y'all follow me? So the warlocks, they are trying to elevate Michael because they believe that he is their alpha. The alpha is equivalent to the feminine or to the female supreme of the females. The alpha is the most powerful warlock. So they're trying to elevate him to like supreme status. Okay? So again, and see, the thing is, according to the storyline, they're saying that there has never been a male supreme. Because men, our testosterone or something blocks us from going into the ethereal realms. This is what they're saying in the in American Horror Story, okay? And they were saying that men, get corrupt, which is true. We see that on the planet now. Men are horrible leaders. Horrible leaders, most of them. You see that now. But you also see the constant battle between the masculine and the feminine energy. And you see the imbalance. You see the imbalance there. And you see all of this playing out symbolically in the storyline between Michael and Cordelia. Because Michael and the men who are the older warlocks of his school, they're trying to elevate him to, the status of supreme. And what that is symbolic of, that is symbolic of the men the men in this world trying to take over the powers of the divine feminine energy. This goes back to Caitlyn Jenner. This is why, we're so busy fighting each other as black people. We're so busy fighting each other, black men and black women and all that bullshit. We're so busy fighting and declaring war on each other. We're not paying attention to what's happening. Caitlyn Jenner, that was all a ritualization. And what's really taking place is they're trying to ritualize transgender white people and white men and put them on the throne of the black woman symbolically so they can have access to that energy. They're trying to ritualize white men so they can gain access to these powers that are innately inside of us, that innately we represent on every fucking level as black people. But we're too busy fighting each other over petty shit. Who's gay? Who's straight? Half of you motherfuckers, y'all showed support for Caitlyn Jenner, you black men I'm talking about. Y'all showed more support for Caitlyn Jenner than you would a gay black person. But that's another story. I'm not going to get into all that. But they're ritualizing these people. And suffices to say, the creator of American Horror Story, Ryan Murphy, is a gay white man. And I ain't got nothing against gay white men. This ain't no shade or anything like that. But I'm just telling you what's going on. I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just speaking the truth. They are ritualizing them to elevate them to a state of power. Spiritually, that is what they're doing. And that is what I'm seeing in America. That is symbolic of what's happening in the storyline between Michael and Cordelia. And, Myrtle Fox and Cordelia, they were saying no man has ever been, the supreme. That just won't happen. Men can't be in power. Men corrupt everything. And they're telling the truth. That's why there has to be a balance. It can't just be all this person or all this energy and no, it has to be a balance. And what this show is really showing you is the disharmony and the imbalance between the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine energy. What I find interesting too is that but the warlocks are gay men. They're gay men. The black warlock, Behold, I think that's his name, Behold, he's definitely gay. I don't know if B.D. Wong is gay. Cheyenne Jackson is gay. So what they're showing you, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. There's something else I want to talk about too that people need to be aware of. They're gay men. And we have our own energy and powers that we can tap into. But see, you have certain gay white men who want to be on the throne of the black woman or the throne of the woman, period. And that's just not designed for that. We have our own purpose for being here. And the problem is that we're trying to go against the feminine energy instead of letting it. The feminine energy is here to guide us and to protect us. We're not supposed to be trying to take over the woman's place. That has nothing to do with it. And you motherfuckers don't come at me talking about, well, you're gay. And I'm gay. I'm gay, but I'm not trying to take no woman's place. I'm a man with a dick. I can't take no woman's place. I don't have a vagina. What I'm doing is tapping into my own power. That is what I'm doing. And that is what I encourage gay black men and all gay men to do, to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, when you think of gay men, and I think that the character of Michael Langdon, I think there's some indication or some subliminal shit that he may be bisexual. But as gay men, we are Satan. We are satanic. That is why we represent the Baphomet. The Baphomet represents androgyny. Partially. Some of it, if you look at the Baphomet has breast, female breast, but it also has masculine features as well. That is representing who we are. The Baphomet means a lot more than that. I'm just giving you a little bit of it, of what it means. Okay? It has a lot more different symbolic meanings than just that. The Baphomet is the perfected black man. So when we think about satanic, when you think of gay men, let me put myself in this category. When I think about being satanic, I am a rebel because part of being satanic is rebelling. And I have rebelled against the status quo. I am Lucifer. I fell into the body of a gay man, expressing myself, trying to help heal an imbalance, not just within myself, but within the world. So when I think about Satan and satanic, that is what I represent. I am the rebel. I was the one. We are the castaways. We were the ones cast down. That is who we are as gay men. Okay? We're working with another type of energy. Okay? So it is not our job to try to take over the divine feminine energy. And that is what they're ritualizing. And take over is the wrong word. What I'm saying is that, it's not our job to try to want to be on the throne of the black woman or the woman. That's not what we're here to do. We have our own gifts and powers that we can tap into with the guidance of the divine feminine energy. And I see a lot of that symbolically playing out in American Horror Story. I see that symbolically playing out. What else did I want to talk about in regards to American Horror Story, The Apocalypse? Personally, I think it's a pretty good season. I think it's a pretty good season so far. Next week, they're going to return to Murder House. There were some other things I wanted to talk about in regards to this season. I know I get so passionate when I talk because I really like this show. I'm a fan of American Horror Story. What else is going on? There are a lot of things that's going on. I can't think about it right this minute. But yeah, going back to the gay men thing, we have to tap into our own power. We have to tap into our own power and recognize who we are. And that doesn't come from trying to, take over the throne of the divine feminine energy. And I'm saying throne, that is symbolic for just, the power of the divine feminine energy. That's not what we're supposed to do. And you see that being played out in American Horror Story. American Horror Story Apocalypse is also about being trapped in this matrix and having to repeat this matrix. I also see this too. That's what I wanted to say. They're also telling us that this has happened before. They showed you this in the movie Mother. People need to look at that movie Mother with Jennifer Lawrence and Michelle Pfeiffer. Very good movie. What they're telling us is that the world has been destroyed and recreated many times before. Because if you notice, in episode 1 of season 8, when the nuclear bombs first fell and the remaining survivors went to that shelter, and Venable, played by Sarah Paulson, also who plays Cordelia, she was playing many different roles this season. Remember, Venable told one of the people that this is not the end, this is the beginning. This is not the end, this is the beginning. What she was talking about symbolically is that this has happened before. This is a new beginning. This is not an end, that this has happened before. These things are, we're stuck in a cycle. We are stuck in a cycle. This has happened many times before. And that's what the movie Mother was all about too. The earth being destroyed and then recreated again. Destroyed and recreated again. And it's always destroyed at the hands of man. We just don't get it. We just don't get it. When Oshun left this planet, when Oshun's energy left the planet, you know the mythology about Oshun, where Oshun leaves the planet because the men decided they didn't need Oshun anymore. And when Oshun left, everything went to hell in a handbasket. I just learned that mythology from a very wise ancient elder. I just learned that. I didn't know anything about that, and it makes sense. But what I wanted to talk about too, that's all I really have to say about American Horror Story, The Apocalypse. But what I want to talk about also is these videos on YouTube about, and this kind of ties into American Horror Story Apocalypse. There are numerous videos on YouTube of men who claim to be time travelers. Most of them, if not all of them, are all white men, and it's always a man. I've never seen a female time traveler. Okay? It's always a white man, presumably, who is this time traveler coming back to the past to warn us about things that are going to happen in the future. And let me tell you what I've seen spiritually, what's really going on. These men who claim that they are time travelers are warlocks, and they're using some form of magic some form of manifestation magic. What they're trying to do is they're trying to shape a potential reality where they can exist, because the future for them looks very bleak. And they know this. They know this through genetics. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? And for those black occultists, you know what I'm talking about. The future for them looks very bleak. And I begin to question, well, why is it that it's always a white man? And why is it that the message is always the same practically? There's no not creativity. There's no diversity in their futures. It's always a bunch of white men who are claiming, you have to do this in the future. You have to do this in the past to change. It's never a female. So what are they trying to do? Are they trying to create a future and a reality where there are only men and there's no divine feminine energy? Is that what they're trying to create? These men are warlocks. They're not time travelers. They're warlocks trying to manifest a reality that they can fit into. And the best way to do that is through YouTube. You think warlocks and witches don't use YouTube? Now, personally, I like to call it glamour. Now, it may not be, that's a witchcraft terminology or Wicca terminology to describe people trying to make something appear real that's not real. You saw it in the movie The Craft. But these people who claim to be time travelers, I'm not discrediting all of them. I'm not going to say all of them. But I find it interesting. There's never any female time travelers. And they're all white men. And when I thought about it, I said, well, wait a minute. I said, these guys remind me of the warlocks in American Horror Story. These warlocks in American Horror Story, they are so desperate to knock out the female supreme because they want to rise to power and prominence where they think that they belong, which is on the throne of the woman. Which is where they don't belong, by the way. They don't. They don't belong there. They don't. So when I think about these so-called time travelers, I'm looking at it like, well, wait a minute. These motherfuckers are trying to create a reality. They're trying to create a reality that they can fit into. So they're not time travelers. A lot of these people, they're warlocks. And they're using some form of manifestation magic. So just keep that in mind, okay? But anyway, that's all I really have to say. Check out American Horror Story, The Apocalypse, Season 8. Next week, they're going back to the murder house for Episode 6. And enjoy it. But that's all I have to say for right now. Thank you.